Good morning. We haven't done a podcast for a while, so Lisa and I thought we would do our final podcast, our final Humph podcast of the year. And we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it, as well as some educational content for all of you out there who are just about to start running into the Christmas party season, which is obviously the most wonderful time of the year, but it is the most high alert time for us HR practitioners. So we're going to run through 5 top tips for you line managers, leadership, CEOs out there on how to handle your Christmas parties. There will be some funny stories, but of course, there won't be any names and there won't be any company names. But Lisa and I have got some tall tales as long as our arm to talk to you about in terms of some of the funny Christmas party shenanigans that some of the people that we've worked with before have got up to.
Like Sarah said, 5 tips. Tip 1, set the tone, aka the pre-party elf briefing. So, before any party, especially Christmas party, you want to send something out in terms of guidance in advance of the party. But what you don't want to do is sound like the office Grinch. You don't want to send out a whole set of rules that everybody's got to follow, because we don't want to take away the fun from the Christmas party. But I think it's important that we remind people that need to behave themselves. But have a good time. So we're not saying don't enjoy yourself, we're saying enjoy yourself. But actually just a reminder that you are at work, you are with your boss. You might even be with your boss's boss and your boss's boss and your boss's boss. So there's lots of eyes on everybody at this point in time. Keeping it memorable is really important, but not for all the wrong reasons. Nobody wants anxiety on Monday when they rock up to work. So I think just send out a little bit of light guidance, make it fun, but just remind people of the importance to, remember you're at work. It's always important to encourage people to enjoy themselves. And I think also one of the things that's important is just to think about how people are going to get home, especially if you're in a location and people have had to travel into the location. It's always good, bit of a plan, make sure people are buddied up, or make sure that you know that someone's husband, wife, brother, sister, uncle is going to pick them up. And I think as managers, actually, we should just check in and make sure people are going to get home safely. Remember, not everybody's going to want to drink. You might have karaoke, you might have axe throwing, you might have darts. There's all sorts of things that we kind of plan for our Christmas parties. But I think one of the other things is, remember, don't put pressure on people. Like, not everybody wants to actually throw an axe. Well, they might, but they might want to throw it at somebody rather than at the board. So remembering the let's not do something we're going to regret on Monday kind of thing. But some people, I mean, some of our team not always want to be involved in everything. They like to watch, and then others like to be involved. So I think don't put pressure on people. Respect that people will have a different view of what fun is, and allow them to kind of make those decisions themselves. I have just a funny story. Many, and this is actually really early days for me, when I was probably, what would I have been? I would have been a personnel officer. So we're talking quite a long time ago. We had a Christmas party. We're at a hotel, was the venue. And our managing director at the time, he would never stay, actually. He would always leave at a respectable time. I think he felt that was the right thing for him to do. And he would never drink. So he was driving home. So some of us were outside chatting and things like that. And then he jumped in his car, was going to leave. And one of the team decided it would be really funny to run full pelt at his car and launch themselves across his bonnet. Wasn't the best idea. Obviously slammed on the brakes. He rolls off down, thinks it's hilarious. The boss was not particularly happy. So as you can imagine, Monday morning conversation took place. But yes, let's not do things like that. I think that's definitely a no.
Brilliant. Tip 2, and this is always a conversation before every Christmas party, which is drinks. Okay. Not everybody drinks. Quite a lot of people drink. How many drinks do you give people? You offer alcohol, but maybe not too many. So I think it's always a little bit of a minefield when you get into these conversations around how much alcohol you do give at the Christmas party. So in terms of tip, look, obviously provide drink options, but provide soft as well as hard drinks. Encourage pacing. There are many times when we've started the Christmas party at 5 o'clock with pre-drinks, which then lead to more pre-drinks and then drinks, and then you don't roll out the food until 9 o'clock in the evening, at which point everybody is mortaled. And then you're having to sweep people up and put them in cabs at 9 o'clock at night. So limit the alcohol is probably a sensible idea. Have a think about, the drink limit, and then try to encourage your CEO, your CTO, your leadership team party member not to put the company card behind the bar or buy everyone in the room shots or carry on the party in their room, because what goes on tour at a Christmas party does not stay
No,
on tour. And we
absolutely.
do fundamentally have a duty of care to make sure that everybody is in a fit and able state. So again, just have soft drinks and food, key, food, especially carbs, to soak up all of the alcohol that people are going to be drinking that night. And if people have had a few too many drinks, which, always happens at a Christmas party, right? Be ready to intervene. And I'm talking about line managers. I'm not just talking about HR being on red alert. And that's, intervene between a team member who definitively wants to talk to the CEO about how they need to run the sales strategy, or perhaps the car parking issue. And also, everybody's got access to social media, right? So when technology meets tipsiness, can be a little bit of a disaster sometimes when somebody wants to either tell the truth about their own personal situation that's going on, to tell the entire company, or to talk about the company on social media. I'm always on high alert. Look out for employees mid-draft on Twitter, Instagram, Work Slack, Teams, and anything that you happen to see, or anybody that's talking about. To be honest, you know what your problem is. You just intervene like a festive guardian angel. So this is line managers as well as HR. So my funny story, particularly on the technology front, was I happened on a conversation with a quite tipsy member of staff who had been hankering after another employee in the company for the last 6 months. And I just happened to join the conversation at this point, who had decided that they were going to declare their undying love for this particular employee and were mid-draft on Teams. And as much as we tried to encourage them that this probably wasn't the right time to be doing it and that they might not feel the same way in the morning, they did draft the message on Teams and then accidentally sent it to the entire company.
Oh,
Oh,
oh dear.
yeah. So the next morning, utterly mortified, because everybody in the company knew how they felt about this employee. So I think it's just being mindful of that, the tipping point between tipsiness and then getting really, really drunk, and just being ready to intervene with anything that you happen to see. Just keep your eye on your team members, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I bet that I would have been so embarrassed.
Oh, so embarrassing.
That's when you have the real anxiety, isn't it? And you want to die.
I know, absolutely.
So tip 3, inclusivity matters. Yeah, let's be honest, not everyone loves Mariah Carey, do they? So I think we've talked a lot about people drinking. There'll be people that don't drink, absolutely fine. So make sure you've got lots of options for people that don't drink alcohol. And lots of companies do things around that now, and it isn't all centered around having loads and loads to drink.
Absolutely.
There's a real shift, I think, we've seen, making sure that you have accessible venues. So if you have anybody in the workplace that has difficulty with their access, any disabilities, it's making sure you can get them there and get them home, make sure that they know that. And I think everybody knows, well, it'll be the office manager that sends out the whole massive sheet of dietary needs for everybody to make sure that you're not poisoning your members of staff with something they're highly allergic to. Because, that probably wouldn't be. I mean, the naughty elf would probably want to do that, but I don't think we should be doing things like that. And also, I think sometimes we forget not everybody celebrates Christmas. We're a very diverse country now, and we have lots of different religious preferences, and so therefore not everybody does want to celebrate Christmas. So I think for companies where you have that, it's a really great opportunity to think about, what do we do different? Like we might do something different. We might not do a Christmas party. We might do a welcome to the new year and let's boost ourselves in January kind of thing. So there's options there to do things differently, and it just means that we're being very inclusive in the way that we do these things. Then tip 4 for managers, because you're still a manager, even though you're at Christmas pie, dancing to, I don't know, Slade, and you could even be in fancy dress. you're still, gonna be a manager. And actually, I guess for those guys, it's like for those people, it's really very much around your behaviours. Like, don't be oversharing stuff about work in a social setting. Like, I feel like that's definitely not a good idea.
Yeah.
Don't disappear and sit in a corner and not interact with everybody. Keep an eye, make sure everybody's okay. And then I think be approachable in the evening, day, whatever time period you're going to be. Sort of be around and just be there for people. It's a great opportunity because look, we work so hard, and when do we ever get the opportunity to actually chat to somebody on in a social? And obviously, as managers, often that doesn't happen very often. So it's a great time to actually find some common ground with people, especially in your team that perhaps you don't spend very much time with. I think if you are chatting with somebody and they're on that brink of having a rant and overshare a confession that you really don't want to hear, you might just want to kind of nudge them into maybe let's go and get some food, or let's go and get a soft drink, or just change the chat, make it different, invite somebody into the conversation because it disrupts the conversation. Because I don't think, the CEO doesn't want somebody tramping up to them and telling them this, that, and everything else. And, somebody doesn't, as a manager, you might have really, really good relationships with people. And what you don't want to do is be in a position where somebody leans in for that unfortunate Christmas kiss, or oversharing, which does happen.
Does
so
happen.
be alert.
Yeah.
Be alert to that kind of thing. But I think the power of distraction is 100%. If they're wandering around canapes, grab the canapé person and get them to feed them, because I think that will definitely help. But I think the important thing is have fun. But you are a manager, and if anything does go wrong at these events, often the managers end up having to deal with it. So don't put yourself in a difficult position.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads on to tip 5, which is the exit strategy in the morning after protocol. So, Lisa and I often have a look at our client Christmas parties, get ready for the call the morning after, or just for companies that we've worked for on a permanent basis too. You kind of wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, it's a really good night, and then you get a couple of line managers approaching you because something's happened that you haven't seen. So that as the evening moves on, managers, again, if you're seeing a team member that's reached, I'm going to call it peak merriness or falling over, you need to help them leave before their dignity completely evaporates, or they're memorable for all the wrong reasons. And me and Lisa have been in the position where we have literally physically had to grab somebody and say, you need to grab a taxi, it's time for you to go home. Or, let's call it a night before we start making memories that HR is going to have to file in the morning.
For 6 years, guys.
Absolutely. And the dance floor will still be here next year. We part of our job and part of what we find ourselves doing a lot, but this applies to line managers or CEOs and founders as well, is just help your members of staff that maybe overdone it slightly. It's been a good year, it's been a tough year, and they're letting it all out. Help them exit with their reputation mostly intact. So from an HR perspective, we're exactly in the same boat, right? Which is we're trying to get to them before they actually do something. Let's call it career limiting, shall we?
Yeah, good.
And if there is anything that needs to be swept up the next day, then you need to move on it quite quickly. If anybody's gone a little bit over the top, then it's a conversation in the morning and then we move on, unless it's more serious, in which case, sadly, guys, you are going to have to involve HR at some point. And, we are ready and welcome to all of those conversations. But, if you're following all of these top tips, maybe you'll never get there. And on that note, my final funny story to share with you is one of the companies that I work for, we ended up having a Christmas party in the office. We had a DJ, it was great fun. Anyway, the next morning I got a phone call from the security team asking me to come down to reception because they needed me to watch something that they'd captured on the security cameras, and you're like, oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, sure. Thinking seriously
Can't be that bad.
It can't be that bad.
Can't be that bad.
Anyhow, I've never been so mortified in my life because what had happened is 2 employees had decided to go up to the boardroom and let's say get amorous on the boardroom table, and I had to try and identify them. Yes. And the security team made me watch half an hour of footage of 2 individuals And then I had to identify them, and then obviously needed to have the conversations that followed that. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, frankly. You know, the last thing I wanted to do the morning after the night before was watch half an hour of two of my colleagues getting amorous on the boardroom table. But what I will say is, you know, you think people...
Yeah, no one's watching.
Somebody is always watching. I'm not saying there's CCTV in every office. However, you know, yeah, exactly that. So again, just be mindful of the behaviours that people tend to fall into when we're at the Christmas party.
Wow. Cool. That would have been a weird conversation.
It was a really embarrassing and weird conversation, particularly as obviously they asked me what evidence I had, and then I had to let them know that I'd been watching half an hour's worth of footage. Anyway, hopefully not one that I'm going to have to repeat again in my HR career.
No, absolutely. So to wrap up, we said it wouldn't be long. 5 tips. So set the tone. Drinks, but not too many. Inclusivity matters. Managers, remember you're still managers. Exit strategy. I think this is really funny because I think exit strategy, you think about business, commercial. You don't think about exit strategy from Christmas party, do you? But anyway, exit strategy in the morning after protocol. But I think what we have to remember, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be us connecting on a human level. You know, we've gone through a really sort of tough few years where our human connection has probably been impacted because of COVID and a number of other things. And these moments are a great time to celebrate success. And we just want to do that and keep everybody safe at the same time. So I think that's the most important thing. So thank you everybody for listening to our top 5 tips for the Christmas parties. There is a downloadable guide which has a little bit more information in there for anybody that wants to think about their Christmas party and their do's and don'ts. So I guess stay merry, stay sensible, and remember, HR sees you when you're sleeping. HR knows when you're awake.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks very much for listening. Thanks.